Chapter 6 from the Pooh Book of Quotations. Ready for Anything, in which we find quotations about journeys, searches, adventures, and expeditions. Christopher Robin was sitting outside his door, putting on his big boots. As soon as he saw the big boots, Pooh knew that an adventure was going to happen, and he brushed the honey off his nose with the back of his paw and spruced himself up as well as he could so as to look ready for anything. Winnie the Pooh. James went a journey with the goat's new compass, and he reached the end of his brick. When we were very young. We are all going on an expedition, said Christopher Robin as he got up and brushed himself. Thank you, Pooh. Going on an expedition, said Pooh eagerly. I don't think I've ever been on one of those. Where are we going to on this expedition? Expedition, silly old bear. It's got an X in it. Oh, said Pooh, I know, but he didn't really. Winnie the Pooh. It is because you are a very small animal that you will be useful in the adventure before us. Winnie the Pooh. Christopher Robin and I are going for a short walk, he said. Not a jostle. If he likes to bring Pooh and Piglet with him, I shall be glad of their company. But one must be able to breathe. The house at Pooh Corner. James, Morrison, Weatherby George Dupree took great care of his mother, though he was only 3. James said to his mother, Mother, he said he, you must never go down to the end of the town if you don't go down with me. When we were very young. You're going to discover the North Pole. Oh, said Pooh again. What is the North Pole? He asked. It's just a thing you discover, said Christopher Robin carelessly, not being quite sure himself. Oh, I see, said Pooh. Are bears any good at discovering it? Of course they are. And Rabbit and Kangaroo and all of you. It's an expedition. That's what an expedition means. A long line of everybody. You'd better tell the others to get ready while I see if my gun's all right. Winnie the Pooh. Where are we going? Said Pooh, hurrying after him and wondering whether it was to be an explore or a what shall I do about you know what. Nowhere, said Christopher Robin. The house at Pooh Corner. We're all going on an expedition with Christopher Robin. What is it when we're on it? A sort of boat, I think, said Pooh. Oh, that sort. Yes, and we're going to discover a pole or something. Or was it a mole? Anyhow, we're going to discover it. Winnie the Pooh. As soon as Rabbit was out of sight, Pooh remembered that he had forgotten to ask who Small was and whether he was the sort of friend and relation who settled on one's nose or the sort who got trodden on by mistake, and as it was too late now, he thought he would begin the hunt by looking for Piglet and asking him what they were looking for before he looked for it. The house at Pooh Corner. Hello, said Piglet. What are you doing? Hunting, said Pooh. Hunting what? Tracking something, said Winnie the Pooh very mysteriously. Tracking what? Said Piglet, coming closer. That's just what I asked myself. I asked myself, what? What do you think you'll answer? I shall have to wait until I catch up with it, said Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh. We must rescue him at once. I thought he was with you, Pooh. Owl, could you rescue him on your back? I don't think so, said Owl, after grave thought. It is doubtful if the necessary dorsal muscles. Then would you fly to him at once and say that rescue is coming? And Pooh and I will think of a rescue come as quickly as ever we can. Oh, don't talk, Owl. Go on quick. And still thinking of something to say, Owl flew off. Winnie the Pooh. When I am in my ship, I see the other ships go sailing by. A sailor leans and calls to me as his tall ship goes sailing by. Across the sea he leans to me, above the wind I hear him cry, "Is this the way to round the world?" he calls as he goes by. When we were very young. Pooh, he said, where did you find that pole? Pooh looked at the pole in his hands. I just found it, he said. I thought it ought to be useful. I just picked it up. Pooh, said Christopher Robin solemnly, the expedition is over. You have found the North Pole. Oh, said Pooh. Winnie the Pooh. When I go up the Amazon, I stop at night and fire a gun to call my faithful band. And Indians in twos and threes come silently between the trees and wait for me to land. And if I do not want to play with any Indians today, I simply wave my hand. And then they turn and go away. They always understand. When we were very young. Pooh's found the North Pole, said Christopher Robin. Isn't that lovely? Pooh looked modestly down. Is that it? Said Eeyore. Yes, said Christopher Robin. Is that what we were looking for? Yes, said Pooh. Oh, said Eeyore. Well, anyhow, it didn't rain, he said. Winnie the Pooh. It's a funny thing, said Rabbit 10 minutes later, how everything looks the same in a mist. Have you noticed it, Pooh? Pooh said that he had. Lucky we know the forest so well, or we might get lost, said Rabbit half an hour later, and he gave the careless laugh which you give when you know the forest so well that you can't get lost. The house at Pooh Corner. We'll take him to the North Pole, said Rabbit, because it was a very long explore finding it, so it will be a very long explore for Tigger unfinding it again. It was now Pooh's turn to feel very glad, because it was he who had first found the North Pole, and when they got there, Tigger would see a notice which said, "Discovered by Pooh. Pooh found it," and then Tigger would know, which perhaps he didn't now, the sort of bear Pooh was, that sort of bear.